come to the bold analysis. I want to be bold enough to say that the weak link in William Ruto's government will be a commitment to combat corruption. And Ruto's handlers are now seen in social media calling on him to crush the corruption malice, or else that will be the start of his failure. And everything have been covered and packaged as an economic revival scheme. But there is something that is silent, and that is the fight against corruption. At the campaign trail, Raila Odinga was very categorical that I know where money is getting lost, and when I get power, I will be in a position to do what I want because I know where the money is getting lost. But on the contrary, William Ruto is not speaking very openly and decisively about the issue of corruption. It seems that there are corners that are now being negotiated, talking about state capture and financial autonomy to different offices, that is the judiciary and bit of the police, in what is seen as a ploy to cover corruption, to curb corruption. But I want to tell you that I have listened to Rigathi Gachagua, and I can tell you without fear of contradiction that if Ruto will not arrest corruption, then he's out for a failure. That is where this starts. You know, the president complained about, president's team complained about the fact that they got, the treasury coffers were dry, trivializing it to a figure of 93 million. But in real sense, they were in a position to pay for the fertilizer subsidy. And not even that. There are funds that were already available for the subsidy, for the fuel subsidy, but that fuel subsidy was suspended. So where did that money go? That tells you that it's not the issue of money not there is an excuse. And I want to tie this, I want to close this to some two incidences that I've picked. One is an interview by Rigathi Gachagua hitting out and questioning the role of the DCI in curbing corruption. I want you to get a snippet of this interview by Sophia Wanuna at KTN News.
And people who did work for government are being auctioned every day.
How will your
If you look at one of the leading dairies,
yes,
from page 34 to 44, 10 pages is full of auctions.
we hear you,
And
Your
those
Excellency.
auctions are about people who supplied goods to government and they
Very
have never
true.
been paid. Because we allowed DCI officers to run government when they have no capacity to run government.
And so,
And they went everywhere in every office, created fear, extorted people, and brought the government to a halt.
and Your Excellency,
And work stopped going on.
You
That
have-
is why I'm saying.
yeah,
And that is why I was assuring the governors. If there is an investigation in your county, let the DCI send officers under a senior officer so that the officers do not abuse the opportunity to visit an office to intimidate people and extort people, so that there is level of responsibility. All I was saying is that if you said a senior officer, say like a senior superintendent of police, there is least likelihood a senior superintendent of police would take advantage of the situation to extort money from public officials and create fear and stop service delivery.
All right,
So all I am
Excellency.
calling upon
Yeah,
is
yeah.
order in DCI.
yeah,
I'm saying all the officers all over government threatening public officials, demanding money from them, interfering with the tendering process,
All right.
interfering with the payment system. Go back to where you belong. And
It is a very worrying statement, and the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua is simply complaining about the role of the DCI, the way the DCI were handling issues. And according to him, the weak link in the corruption war was the DCI. And I totally differ with him on this matter. I listened to, this is very close to what the Rigathi Gachagua told the governors, that when there is a corruption case, someone should not send the junior officers, senior official, to go to governor's office and sit down and follow up the matter because there will be no extortion. I'm like, look here, if money is stolen, there are county governors where even files are burned at night. And people, it's a corruption. Corruption is a criminal case. That is it. It's not a case where you can't tell, you can't say that you need to go to sit down with the governors and you send a senior person because there will be no extortion. Honestly, to say the truth, the fight against corruption needs the presidential goodwill. Even that senior DCI official will not have the audacity to go and arrest a governor if he does not have the goodwill of the executive, especially the national executive. So these are issues that you look at it, and what has really provoked my thoughts on this is the latest story that has emerged that who is this? That the 588 million graft case against Waititu has been adjourned, and adjourned to a future date. The office of ORPP had procured 27 witnesses against on the defense team on the case, but it seems the cases are now going slowly. So you get to you a little bit get to you wonder what exactly is happening. And if Ruto team and Ruto, who is in charge of this government, will not take corruption head on, then I can say that for the next 5 years, he will be in a position defending the government on the lack of funds. The funds will still continue lacking even 2 years after forming the government, because there is something that Raila got right, that you need just to get away the corruption. Today, people are saying that the president promised that when the Bible is down, immediately then he put the Bible down, he'll go for the cartels. So, okay, presumably no cartel has been put on the spotlight, and people are now trolling him, saying that maybe the Bible did not leave the hands, or he did not put the Bible down. So it's a very delicate balance for this government. And I just want to look at that video by Gachagua. I want to break it down so that we really see what can someone draw from the statement by Rigathi Gachagua. But I want to remind those of our subscribers who had already signed up at the scholarsbean.com that we are urging you that kindly get an opportunity to post an ad or a book, a school uniform, or an education material. I want to say thank you and appreciate the many of our subscribers that has interacted with the website, have signed up, and we believe that, of course, if you have an education material that is still there, you want to publish. I have noticed some few have started publishing, but we want to encourage you to publish, because now the parents are really getting to the website and people want to buy. So we see the traffic is going, but then they're not finding the product. So if you had signed up at the scholarsbean.com, the education material, education website, then you need to rush there and publish a book, a school uniform, or an education product, exam papers that are there, and you think that they can help another person. Remember, you are the person that will decide the price. So thank you very much, and let's see how that goes. That is Scholars Bean. Now, from what I see, and when you remove DCI, if you remove the DCI intervention on the corruption cases, then these cases will be influenced by the political power. And that is what William Ruto is trying to cure by saying that most of these corruption cases were weapons that were used by the previous administration to settle political scores. And as we, even though they are complaining about that, they were saying that, of course, the executive was influencing the decisions that are made by those different parastatals or these different agencies, different government agencies. But then you're simply saying that you want to cripple, and we are. It's true that people who work will tell you that things are not such easy. There is a lot of calls that are coming here and there, asking people, and of course things are not easy. So what I really believe is, if William Ruto do not protect the DCI or the investigator in this country, then these political cases will be decided by the political power. They will go to boardrooms, and because one person can always make a call and influence, things are going. And of course, remember, in the first term, there were not a lot of stories of how the procurement department was used to swindle the government funds. And you can understand why the president, the former president Uhuru Kenyatta, planted people from the DCI and even the intelligence to those boards because they would help. And now, when you remove the investigator, what does that mean? That the tenders will be given on personality, on people who is making the call from where. So the influence of the political power will just, Kenya is a capitalist, so only few people with those connections and the networks will benefit. That is something that will not work well. But then, deliberately, judiciary should try not to be seen as complicit to the corruption war. And to me, judiciary is complicit because what exactly you're seeing, a situation where, of course, the Gachagua is talking about, let's do things differently to put order in DCI, they're being used, and extortion. While someone is saying, okay, if there was that extortion, why don't you just charge some of the officials who extorted money from from government offices? These are there. So corruption really fights back, and this is something that William Ruto must face. And even though he seems to have pocketed the judiciary, something that is really not, we are waiting to see that it will work on his favor, but it must use the judiciary in a way that it can be a strong link in this issue of corruption, and government must provide the goodwill. That's what I see here. There is no goodwill. If President Ruto wants to settle this, he must provide that goodwill. And from what you're seeing, for even that senior officer at DCI to arrest a governor implicated in a corruption case, it doesn't just take putting fuel in the car and running to the governor's office. It must take what, to me, is the executive. And I think Gachagua seems to believe that a junior officer should not arrest a senior governor. Should not arrest a governor because a governor is senior. So in that case, they should go and negotiate, talk, take tea. I'm like, surely that doesn't offer the good one. It's something that need to look out for. And from what I see, state capture will metamorphosize, and it will show up in a different format. Remember, there is one of these things to capture state, to solve state capture, and I don't see it. It will just metamorphosize to another thing. A very good example, giving the IG financial autonomy, to me, does not give the political goodwill. Because even if you give the judiciary the money, you give the AG the money, yes, they run independently, but the president can still make a call and influence. So the buck stops with the executive. The buck stops with President William Ruto. And I am just so keen to look at how this will be. And if Ruto really means well and wants to solve and get the money, because I agree with lawyers who are saying, handlers who are saying, Blunder was saying, that if you want to get money, just cover to corruption. In fact, without corruption, some of these things will not work. Even the fertilizer subsidy, if we don't just handle cartels, it will get, that subsidized fertilizer will get to some few people that will benefit. And after they have produced maize that is needed for the country, they will still find a way of reducing it chini. That maize price, it kept, create artificial shortage, price goes up, and you are still back to where you are. So everything stops with corruption, even service delivery. One thing that really hurts service delivery is corruption, where procurement is being done, the goods are supposed to be to be delivered, and maybe a service, but somehow someone sitting in an office always wants to benefit before that service or that product is offered to the public. So with this, I believe that one of the ways for the trickle-down economics to work well, even though it has not really delved on this, to get money to people, the Hustlers Fund, for it to get to the pockets of the right people, you must handle corruption. Otherwise, you will put 50 billion in a county, in a coordination with the county government, and it will help county officials or government officials. The Mawamboga in Yamakima and the person there will not benefit simply because there is corruption. And ladies and gentlemen, I believe that Martha Koome should up the stakes, and these other stories of such corruption cases adjourned, I think are things that show, to me, is a big blunder. She should really up. And now at this time where people think and people have a feeling that the judiciary is very close with the executive, such prominent cases touching on those prominent personalities being adjourned, too many people can perceive it as judiciary is complicit, and that's my bold.